How y'all doing out there, world? It's your girl Chrissy, the Heartbeats, and we are here for a special edition of Wind Up Wednesday. I know that we didn't get to do my show on Wednesday, but however, we are here today, and we're gonna get it done. I have the great Judge Murray, Leonard Murray, coming on the show today because it's the primaries. It's voting time, and he's going to come on and tell us a little bit more of who he is, why we should vote for him, the importance of voting, and then, just share some different information. With that, I'm going to go ahead and press mute until he comes on, and where we do this live, and show's going to get started. So we're just gonna wait until he joins us. I hope you all are doing well out there in this beautiful world, but yet crazy and chaotic all at the same time. And you are. Oh, here goes. I guess. Hold on. Uh. Stage. All right, there we go. How you doing, Mr. Murray? How you doing?
I'm good, Chrissy. How are you doing?
I am resilient to living boldly.
Yeah, yes, you certainly are. I can attest to that.
Yes, I am. Well, I want to, of course, thank you for coming and participating in Wind Up Wednesday. I know it's Friday, which is Freedom Friday. But of course, we want to make sure that we have the conversation because you're supposed to be on the show. But, different circumstances happen. But we are here today to be able to talk to the people. This, of course, is streaming live currently, but you will be able to catch the replay. So, Mr. Murray, I don't know why I want to say Leonard, but I know that's your name.
But people call me by my first name, and I don't mind.
Okay, well, we're going to put some respect on your name, Judge Murray, and please let everyone know who you are, because we know you're a judge, but let everyone know who you are and what type of judge you are.
Okay, well, thank you for that question. So I am a trial court judge. I have been a judge since April of 2007. I currently in the supervising judge in what's called housing court. It's a misnomer. What we do in my division is deal with issues of health and safety as it relates to real estate, and that's all types of properties, be it commercial, industrial, residential, condominium, anything that deals with parking structures, anything that deals with real estate, even vacant lots. In some instances, we're involved in. Um, Prior to that, I was assigned to a jury room,
Okay.
and in that assignment, I handled matters personal injury, property damage, contract disputes that related to non-payment of money pursuant to contractual arrangements. And before that, I sat in landlord-tenant court for about 6 years, handling disputes between landlord and tenants. Um, Sometimes as simple as not paying rent, then other times more complicated situations, condominium assessments not being paid, uh, 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 industrial rent payments not being paid, and then also evictions that dealt with breaches of other covenants in the lease. For example, the covenant to keep a property in good repair, insure it, pay taxes on it, a number of different things that pertain to a landlord-tenant relationship.
Oh, wow. So you said since 2007. So, what is that?
Oh, almost 17 years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, because it's 2024 right now. You're
Yep.
almost at 2 decades. So has this always been your passion or desire to be a judge?
It has not.
Really?
Uh, yeah, it is not. Uh, uh, Initially, when I became a lawyer, there were times when I entered courtrooms And one occasion in particular where I was there to represent a defendant in a contract dispute case, and when the case was called, my client had not arrived yet. So the judge and I stepped up, announced my name, and the judge asked me, "Did I have a lawyer?" Uh, and at first, I had to accept essentially was an insult, and I explained to him, "I am the lawyer." And he looked quite astonished that I was the lawyer presiding on this case. But
Ah.
those and some other examples really put a bad taste in my mouth in terms of how judges treated us, particularly
Mhm.
black lawyers. But then over time, many more of my friends became judges, and I knew that they were good people, and treated people the right way. So I kind of relaxed my attitude of not wanting to be a judge, and then an opportunity presented itself in 2005 when there were openings on the associate list that were announced. So I put in my application for that, and then that process took nearly 2 years from beginning to end. And
Okay.
in March of 2007, I was selected among 62 finalists to be an associate judge. So I was an
Oh,
associate
nice.
judge from 2007 until December of 2016 when I became a circuit judge. So the circuit judges are publicly elected. Associate
Okay.
judges are elected by the circuit judges, and the associate process is being phased out. And going forward, all judges will be elected by the public.
Ah, okay. So prior to becoming a judge, how many years were you an attorney? And were you
Uh,
fighting the same similar cases, or was it a different industry?
my history as a lawyer is a little different, maybe a bit unusual, in that my undergrad degree is in economics, and I had a minor in accounting. So after law
Okay.
school, I worked for a CPA firm in its tax department. It was then known as Touche Ross. It's now known as Deloitte and Touche. So I did accounting and tax work for about 7 years at Touche. And then after that 7 years, I ventured out into the private practice of law, continuing to do tax work, but also broadening uh, my representation to do things in U.S. tax court, and then also in state court and federal, and also federal court, dealing with bankruptcy matters. So I was a private lawyer until 2007 when I became an associate judge.
Okay, nice. So you have a little bit more than just 20 years working in the law, well, I would say law enforcement, but more of being an attorney and being a judge or working in the judicial system, I'll put it that way.
Yes, yeah, because my first 7 years after law school, I attended Northwestern University Law School. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was primarily doing, well, pretty much 100% accounting and tax work. I was a full-time employee there. Um, but then after that 6 or 7 years, I decided that I really had not done anything in terms of courtroom representation. Kind of got the
Mm-hmm.
bug to do something in courtrooms, not just consulting. And that's when I ventured out uh, into the general practice of law.
Nice, nice, nice. So tell us a little bit more of just who you are. Like, did you play sports while you were in high school? What's your favorite team? Are you a sports fan? I know it's kind of cliche in regards to why would you not be a sportsman? I'm a man. But um, what are some things related to if you play sports and what's your favorite team?
Sure. So uh, I was late to at least basketball. I didn't start basketball until I was in high school. And in fact, my first year, I tried out for the team and didn't make it. But I was determined over that year between seasons to, to, to prepare and get ready to make the team the next time. And I did. In fact, beginning with my sophomore year, I always started every game that I was involved in,
Nice.
sophomore through junior and senior year. And I was an all city player in my senior year, both in basketball and baseball. I was a very good baseball player as well. In fact, I had tryouts with the St. Louis Cardinals my senior year. Um, but I elected to go to college and didn't really pursue that, and frankly, wasn't really well advised in terms of what that process was like. So I went to college on a basketball scholarship, but also played baseball there, uh, and I was good enough to get drafted in the NBA my
Nice.
senior year. But the NBA back in that era was much different than it is today. There weren't as many teams. It was a smaller association,
Mm-hmm.
so it was much harder to make a team back then. But I also happened to get drafted in the Army at that same time, and of course, that a good friend of mine would always say that I got offered a no cut contract to the U.S. Army, uh,
I
so
know what?
a no cut contract.
A no cut contract. Okay.
Right, meaning I couldn't be cut from the U.S. Army. I would be a member. So I was in the Army until July of 1970, and at that point, I was had done my year in Vietnam, so I came home from Vietnam in 1970. And I worked for a year. I returned to IBM, which is the job I had initially before I got drafted. I worked there for most of the summer of 1968, uh, and then got drafted. Was sworn into the Army in October of 1968. But then coming back for Vietnam at that point, if you had less than a certain number of days left in your tour of service,
Mm-hmm.
you would be discharged. So I think I was less than 3 months away from being discharged in two years of service. So I was able to get released about 90 days early uh, as a result of that. Um, so I am. Always been involved in the community, as you know. I sit on the board of Africa International House. I have
Yes.
been on that board far too long, uh, but it's a labor of love. It's an important uh, initiative in the community, preserving African culture and art. Uh, and it's a fun weekend. It's a lot of work. It's a fun weekend though.
It's
Um,
definitely a lot of work. I bear witness. Okay.
yes. So. But other things I do, I'm on the board of the senior building in Inglewood called Sangamon Terrace, and
Mm-hmm.
we provide low income senior housing there. We have 24 one bedroom apartments in that building. Uh, I'm also on the board of Provident Inglewood Charter School,
Okay.
and it's a K through eighth grade elementary school in Inglewood. We have just under 300 students, and that's been a uh, real meaningful and rewarding activity over the past 6 months. I've been a member since of that board since October of last year, and I've done some
Nice.
other things as well. From time, over the years, just different organizations I've been involved in. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so it's I believe in giving back, being involved in the community, even as a judge, not shying away from engaging with people, dealing with issues in the community, and trying to help. So I believe that being a judge is that of a servant. So I continue to try to serve the community.
Good. I appreciate that wholeheartedly. So with the sports team, who's your favorite team right now?
Oh, uh, well, I would have to say I'm a Bulls fan.
That look,
But
that was the right answer.
right answer. But
I mean, you
I
come from
have,
Chicago.
yeah, I have from time to time. I like the Warriors team because their style of play and success of Stephen Curry. Uh, and then I've been a fan of the Boston Celtics from time to time, um, but primarily Chicago,
Okay,
both for basketball and baseball.
love it. So I know that this is currently the voting season right now. Please let everyone know who doesn't know. What position are you currently running for?
I'm running for a position on the Illinois Appellate Court. Uh, it's a different level of the courts. I don't want to suggest that it's better than the trial court, but it's just a different, uh, different place to serve.
Okay.
Um, so I'm running in the vacancies of Matt Delort, who in fact uh, was a classmate of mine as an associate judge back in 2007. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, it would be just wonderful to succeed and take his spot. Um, so th- that race, of course, primary day is next Tuesday. Uh,
Yes.
my punch number is 135, and my slogan is "Don't be in a hurry, vote for Murray."
I like it.
And the reason I say that is because the judicial ballot is at the very end of the ballot. So those are the last races that you have a chance to vote on. And I've been told from time to time people don't go to the end of the ballot, or when they arrive, they're not sure how to deal with it. So my slogan is intended to encourage people not to uh, halt
Rush
their
through it.
right, rush through it or halt their voting process until they also vote for judges.
All right, I love it and I appreciate that. So, for those who don't know the difference, can you give us a little bit more details between the two um, court or the appellate versus the circuit court?
Sure. So uh, pretty much all disputes that result in litigation start out at the trial level. So I
Okay.
am currently a judge at the trial level, assigned to the housing department, and I explain what we do here. Um, so by chance, if you disagree with the outcome of your case at the trial level, you have an absolute right to appeal it to the appellate court. Uh, and the only thing is required is that it is what's called a final order, meaning all the issues that present themselves in the case have been decided, and there's nothing, no other litigation required um, in that case. It's final, if you will. Now there's
Okay.
some limited circumstances where even though the case is not quote unquote final, you can't take up a certain issue to the appellate court even before the case is totally over. But that depends on what the issue is and how the appellate court, the importance of it in terms of trying to resolve something at the trial level. So it, every single decision at the trial level ultimately can be appealed to the appellate court, and that's done by merely filing what's referred to as a notice of appeal. And in that document that you create, it's not complicated, but you just state that who you are and that you're appealing to the Illinois Appellate Court for review of that the case. You use the same case caption as was used when your case was originally filed, and you just have to prosecute the appeal. There's certain things you have to do. You have to file a record on appeal. The record is everything that happened in the trial court, and then you have to uh, explain to the court what it is you think went wrong, why the decision is wrong. And you do that in what's called the opening brief of the appellant. And then your opponent has a right to file what's called the response brief, the appellee's brief. The respondent in the appellate court is referred to as the appellee. And then the appealing party then would file its closing brief uh, because it has the burden of proof. So, in order to obtain relief in the appellate court, you must demonstrate convincingly why it is that what occurred below is wrong and should be changed or somehow modified. Uh, and then they will take up your appeal. I had a question asked of me earlier today. I was on a different program that asked whether or not you had a right to appear on your appeal in the appellate court, and you do not. Uh,
Uh,
what's called oral argument is
wait,
encouraged, but
let me make note of that.
okay. Um, so the reason that you will appear in appellate court is to argue your issue before a appellate panel. Uh, but it is not always absolutely necessary. Sometimes the issue on appeal uh, is one can be decided based on the briefs that have been filed. It doesn't require oral argument, but oral argument at the appellate level is encouraged, but it is not absolutely required. So once the briefing is done, and if there's an argument made, then the court will decide, and the appellate court is required to explain their opinion in a writing that is published, and it's for guidance both for the parties in the litigation and also others who may have a similar issue, so they can see the
Okay.
rationale that the court is adopted. So there is no absolute right to have an oral argument on appeal or appear before the appellate courts. No absolute right to do that. It's within the court's discretion as to whether or not uh, you should be granted an argument.
Okay, great. So what I would like for you to do is address maybe between 1 to 3 reasons why people should go out, especially millennials and generational Z, or why we should go out and vote during this time.
Well, in general or specifically for judges or both?
It could be in general, but you can then separate it and answer one of the questions for the judges.
Okay. Well, it's important to vote because someone's going to occupy these various governmental offices, from the governor on down, or even the president on down.
Mm-hmm.
So while you might suggest, well, my one vote won't make a difference, it very well could, and
Mm.
it may make a difference even beyond that race. In fact, one of the discussions today was a similar question to this, and that is on the federal level, the president appoints judges. So by voting for the president, you may impact who it is becomes a judge, federal judge in your state. So that's a
Okay.
very important influence that you can have over what happens in federal courts. And now, because of some of the policies that are being adopted in rulings made by federal courts, particularly the U.S. Supreme Court, uh, more and more of individual rights are being decided by state courts. Um, so it's equally as important to be involved in decision making at the Supreme Court level on the state side of things, because what's happening at the federal level uh, is really just the floor in terms of what your individual rights can be.
Mm-hmm.
States have a right to provide and grant greater rights than the federal government does. So it's not that the federal uh, courts and their rulings are the absolute barrier, um, but certainly the state courts are that state law, constitution, rulings from courts can grant greater rights than one might receive at the federal level. Um, and again, someone's going to occupy these positions
Yeah.
at the various levels, be it state, county, local, uh, school boards, local school boards. Someone's going to occupy these positions. So why shouldn't you have a say in who that person is? And you have your say by voting.
Awesome. All right. Now, same question, but related to the judges that are currently running or the judicial um, candidates.
Well, there are. I think I'm right on this. There are probably at least 15 judicial races on the ballot this time around.
Uh huh.
Um, and in a rather unusual situation, a number of judicial races are uncontested, meaning nobody chose to run against a candidate in certain races, which is
Ah,
highly unusual. That we have so many
interesting.
races it's a no contest situation. Um, but again, even though you may not individually be involved in a case, uh, the decision in that case could still impact you personally because of the ruling and the depth and breadth of the law that's involved in adjudicating that case. Uh, and the best example, well, not the best example, but an example I'll give you is uh, there was, well, for example, a street cleaning ticket. Uh, the city is supposed to publish advance notice of the fact that they're going to do street cleaning, and the reason
Right.
is so that their trucks are unimpeded as they move along the curb on our block. Um, but how do you know when that's going to happen unless the
Right.
city gives you adequate notice? So there is a case that suggests that the city must give at least 24 hours of street cleaning. So while that may not be the individual case that you may have protested uh, against the ticket, it impacts everyone because that now is the rule for everyone uh, whose street is going to be swept by the
Yeah.
city, and also whether or not you could be cited if they fail to give the requisite notice of their intent to do street cleaning on any particular day. So that's just one example of how, even though you may not be personally involved in the litigation, its outcome could affect you.
Right. Oh, well, I greatly appreciate the information and knowledge and wisdom. I know you're extremely busy with campaigning and different things right now. So let the world know, because I know, well, those who are in Chicago, but you're letting the world know all at the same time. Let everyone know what's your punch number, and how to get in contact with you for future. I don't. Well, I know you're a judge, but are you still doing any? Um, is anyone able to still hire you to be an attorney or
No,
nope?
no.
Okay, look,
Yeah,
nope. So
yeah.
no.
Once you become a judge, you can't practice law anymore.
It's a different
Until
level of
until you retire, then you can go back into the private practice of law. But as long as you're an active judge, then you cannot represent anyone.
well, I learned something new today.
Mm, yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Just let everyone know what's your punch number and any final tips,
okay.
information that you would like to share.
Sure. Well, my punch number is 135 135 135. Um, and my campaign motto is faith, family, fairness, because I believe those three principles are important for a good, stable, and healthy society. And my campaign slogan is "Don't be in a hurry, vote for Murray," and that's premised on the idea that many folks don't go to the end of the ballot and vote for judges. And I think that's a big mistake. You have an opportunity to weigh in on who becomes the judge in Cook County, at least for those of us who live here. Um,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that's very important, I think, to have a say in terms of who's on the bench because what judges do affect people's lives on a day-to-day basis. Um,
Yes.
not only in the particular case that you might be involved in, but the rulings made in those cases can have broader application than just determining the outcome in that particular situation. So that's why it's very vital and important uh, to be involved in the selection of judges. It's not everywhere um, uh, that the everyday citizen can have a say in terms of who makes the bench. Uh, but in Illinois, we've got that privilege and that right. So we should all cherish it and take advantage of it.
Ah, yes, I appreciate that. Any final words or
Well, punch 135. Don't be in a hurry, vote for Murray. But please exercise your right of franchise. As Black people in America, we know the struggle of how it is we came to be able to cast ballots and the difference that we make. Uh, so don't overlook that privilege. We did not always have it, and now we do, and we need to make sure that we utilize it. And even so, there's still attempts to dilute the power of our vote by how uh, political districts are drawn. So you've got to be on top of it and you got to be alert. What I think the expression is woke. Got to be woke.
yes, you gotta be consciously aware. Woke and
Yep,
consciously aware.
absolutely.
Well, again, I greatly appreciate you coming and joining us on this exclusive interview. I want
Uh,
to thank you for coming on the show. And of course, you're going to see me at the African Festivals of the Arts. Well, you'll see me prior to, however. I look forward to continuing the collaboration. And yes, I want to thank everyone who will be catching a replay of this. With that, it's your girl, Chrissy the Heartbeat. You can find me on Instagram with Chrissy with the K underscore the Heartbeat, Facebook as well as TikTok. And then with that, I want to say peace and love to everyone. And I'll catch you all next week. Bye, Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Chrissy.
You're
Enjoy it.
welcome.
All right.